Alright, so now let's talk about the grenadier. Now, grenadier can have lots of connotations. It can mean lots of different things to different people. Now, the general consensus is it's either someone who carries all your grenades, or has a dedicated grenade launcher, or possibly both. Now, I've shown this before. I know you've all seen this. My grenade launcher. Now, I was hoping to show a 6-shot one on this video, but as I said in the video where I referenced it, it's really slow to reload, really heavy, bulky to carry around, and the guy who was planning to borrow it from has actually sold it because of those problems. So make of that what you will. Now, like we said before, grenade launchers, they use these Moscart, these BB shower, whatever you want to call them, and well, they've got their limited uses. Now, these are literally a minefield to buy. These ones were cheap, and I mean really cheap. These were something like £15 or £20. They're really not expensive. At least I think they were that much. But anyway, I know they were no more than £30. But they're not very good, is the truth. And really, with these kind of grenades, often you get what you pay for. Now, some of the Mad Bull ones I know are a lot better. A friend of mine has some copy Mad Bull ones from China, and they are alright, but they've got some issues. Sometimes they don't go off, sometimes they go off when you tap them. These ones luckily don't do that, but really with these you get what you pay for. But getting what you pay for means sometimes you're going to be paying up to £60 for a single grenade, like I've said before. And in the end of the day, if you're carrying several of them, then you've got an issue. But sometimes you can buy them in packs and they're a bit cheaper. You know, you can buy them in packs of 3, packs of 5, packs of whatever, and as I say, sometimes they're cheaper then, but really, if you can, try one out first before you buy it, especially if you're buying from a specific, if you're looking at a specific brand one, because really that time that you've spent is going to get paid back. Okay, so grenade launchers then. Now we've talked about the grenades. Now, but how are these useful? Now, the usefulness of these really depends on your site, because some sites will say rebounds count, other sites will say rebounds don't count. Now, what I mean by a rebound is a BB that's hit something and bounced back off. Now, part of the idea of these is when you fire them into, say, a room or a building, they bounce off the walls, they spray everywhere, and they cause a lot of BBs travelling all over the place, and it makes it very, very difficult to avoid them. But if the site says rebounds don't count, then it becomes a bit difficult to call whether or not you've hit someone. And someone who has been hit can easily say, well, it bounced off the wall and they all bounced back, so they don't count. But sites which allow rebound rules, which the majority of them do, because they mostly say, well, if it hits you, it's shrapnel, it still counts. These make a big difference to room clearing. They're really good for room clearing. However, if you're firing direct fire, i.e. straight up firing directly at someone, or even indirect and you're firing over a sandbags or whatever, not brilliant, because quite often they're essentially just a big shotgun. You just go poof directly out in front of you, and then that's the last you hear of it. And the problem is, especially when you first get them, it's very tempting to want to fire off all your grenades in one combat. But really what you've got to do is be the grenadier, wait for the time when it is time to use them, i.e. when you're trying to clear a building, using them in that supportive role, but we'll talk more about that in a second. Okay, so I'm the grenadier. Now up ahead of us we've got ourselves a little situation. Up in that building we've got enemies. We don't know how many, but we know that they've not spotted us yet. Now it's my job as the grenadier to make sure that room gets cleared out. With a quick bit of suppression to let me clear the area. I'm going to move in, bang with a grenade launcher, get a grenade in through there. If I've got time, bang, get another one in there, then move back out to join the rest of my squad. Okay, so grenade launchers come in lots of different types. Now this one is a Classic Army long one. They also do a Classic Army short one, which I think comes to about that kind of length or so. But this one's just right for this gun, so this is why I like this one. Some of them are a bit longer, some of them are a bit shorter, Some of the Madball ones are only about that kind of size, and those can be really cool on things like MP5s and various other weapons like that. But you can also go for the much bigger ones. You can go for this kind of thing, or you can go for the Law rockets, the ones you pull out, or the 84 rockets, I believe, the big anti-tank ones the US are using at the moment. But the point is there's lots of different options available, but the majority of them still fall back on your shell. So it doesn't matter what you're using. It doesn't matter whether you're using an underbarrel grenade launcher or whether you're using a full shoulder mounted rocket launcher. It comes down to this. But quite often these are far easier to reload, because all you've got to do is open it, get a new one in, close it, and you're back in the game. But really it comes down to personal preference. It also depends whether you're going for a particular look, because the whole reason I made this was because it goes with my Spetsnaz kit. So just works well, and it's the right gun to have for that kind of style. But in the end of the day, these are expensive. They're very expensive, especially if you get a full metal and wood one, because they can go up to about £700 odd, and really you probably don't want to be spending that much for something that in essence is a big shotgun. So really it comes down to personal preference. Okay, pro tip, know your weapon. Now, in the end of the day, when you're in combat, when you're in the field, you need to keep up a good rate of fire, and what you don't want to be doing is messing around, fumbling with your grenade launcher, trying to get a new grenade in, trying to work out how it actually loads in, how to fire, where your safeties are, especially if you've not used it very often. It pays to make sure you know how your gun works before you get out in the field, especially with things like this. Now, as you can see, we've got the little reflex sight on here, but if we had a full scope, that top wouldn't open, it wouldn't let us get the bullet chain out, it wouldn't let us take the mag off. Make sure you know all this kind of things in advance, because it makes a big difference on the skirmish field. Okay, so that's it for this episode of Airsoft Pro Tips. Next time we're going to be talking about the Team Medic and the Team Radio Man.